Let's take it from the top.
This is the Lowdown Sports Show.
Give me the lowdown.
With Drew.
I just heard your dad might already hate you, and I was like,
Yeah.
what, brother? Oh, man.
And BJ.
Yeah, he could be part of the mascot's entourage and be throwing T-shirts into the crowd.
And it all starts right now.
All right, welcome into another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show. I'm your host, Drew.
I'm BJ.
And we're here to get the lowdown on all things basketball. Before I get into anything else, I just want to say that the Texas Rangers are World Series champions for the first time ever.
You called it, man. All those years of waiting, you called it back in July, right? Right after the trade deadline?
Yes.
Or maybe August.
Yes, right around that area. I don't remember when it was.
I wanted to believe, but until I saw the called third strike, my heart was like, I can't take no more heartbreak, man. Can't take no heartbreak, Drew. Luckily,
BJ, I didn't see it. I fell asleep, so I didn't get to see it. The last two innings before we took off and got up to 5-0, I missed them. So I didn't get to see when we were at the 2-out point. I didn't get to feel that anxiety like we felt 12 years ago. But I got to see the joy when I woke up. Oh, my Rangers got it done. Oh, we scored 4 more runs. That's nice.
Yeah, you could think a little bit of an error and then a home run.
Shout out to Mr. Corey Seager, the World Series MVP.
Yeah, and Marcus Semien finally came alive, too.
Yeah. Shout out to those Rangers. Shout out to Rangers, man. Anyway, guys, we're going to talk some basketball today. We got a lot to talk about. We haven't talked about NBA and WNBA for a while, but what are you talking about? This is what this show is about. WNBA and NBA, that's what you're supposed to do. Well, I mean, you're right. But we had Coach Tripp come on by last episode, and we were talking college basketball with our man, Coach Tripp.
Yes, sir.
And we missed the week before. So that's just how that goes. But we're going to get you caught up because we're going around the association today, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of basketball, new partnership in the NBA, talking about that in-season tournament. Got some new courts. They don't look too bad, I guess. Week 1 done pass now. Maybe some reactions about how things are going. I mean, Dallas Mavericks undefeated.
Wemby's the greatest player that's ever played the basketball game. That's what I keep hearing, Drew.
Man, James Harden got traded. He's got a new team again. Oh, man. Talking about that.
What year is this? No.
WNBA draft lottery coming up next month. Dig into that a little bit. Aces had a little bit of fun after going back to back. This is our first time talking about that as well. And their championship parade and all the antics that have ensued ever since then as well. Chicago Sky finally shoring things up. They got a head coach not too long ago last time we spoke. And now they got a GM. And Portland expansion, things are a little shaky on that right now. We got to talk about what went wrong with what went wrong there. And that's what we're doing around the association today. BJ's Best, What's on Drew's Mind with a quid, of course, all on tap. And before we get into everything, we want to shout out our partners, T-Public Fanatics and SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. Use code The Lowdown in all caps. That's THA Lowdown in all caps for $20 off your first order. And this show is also presented by StatHead. My man BJ's got a stat of the episode.
That I do, Drew. It's early in the season, so you can take this to be all the kind of overreactions that you want it to be. Overreactions for the first week are coming up here later on in the show. But, Drew, you can find out things like this on StatHead through our partners over there. So far, you've got through the first 4 or 5 games for everybody here this season, there are only 3 players, Drew. There are only 3 defenders that have held their opponents below 25%, with their opponents having shot at least 25 field goal attempts so far this year.
Okay.
OG Anunoby is at 22.9% against him. He's a lockdown defender. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is at 22.2%
underrated
field goal percentage. I mean, he might be an MVP candidate as well as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for sure. But the defender that has the best number, the person that has defended and has the best field goal percentage allowed against him, that's a lower number, not a higher number, is Victor Wembanyama. 20% his opponents are shooting against him. I mean, it's tough to get the basketball over the 7-foot guy. I know he's tall, but you can make shots over tall defenders. It's all about geometry and angles and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it is still early. So
this could fit into overreactions already.
Hey, I'm not saying anything by it. I'm just telling you that's what the stats say, Drew.
I know what that text message said too.
I never say anything bad about the Mavericks either. The Mavericks might be the best team in basketball to this point.
Hey, that's what I like to hear.
Okay, that's an overreaction. But that's the stat of the episode, Drew. Thanks to our friends over at StatHead for that.
Thank you, Mr. BJ, for our stat of the episode. Let's go ahead and get digging into things. I guess we could. Let's wait. We'll dig into the overreactions in a minute. Let's start off with this new partnership for the NBA here.
Mm-hmm.
NBA's then partnered with Kim Kardashian and SKIMS, an underwear brand that she holds down over there. That quote together, SKIMS. Right? Yeah, she owns it. Together, SKIMS and the NBA will connect people of all backgrounds through fashion, sport, and talent, said Kardashian, the co-founder and creative director of the SKIMS brand. SKIMS wasted no time establishing itself, man. I've seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as a brand rep for them as well. I mean, the WNBA is within this partnership as well as USA Basketball. So SKIMS partnering with the NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball. And big time move here from Kim. Smart move.
It just launched maybe a week or so ago back at near the end of October, and they're already planning big time, ways to see how the partnership is going to be utilized when you go to the All-Star game throughout the in-season tournament that begins here in the not too distant future. They're going all out to make this partnership work and to really put it out there for all of the people that have interest in it.
Yeah, and having guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander already modeling the product for him, it definitely helps when he's a top 10 player in the league right now. So it's something that's already making waves, and the W players, they like it for sure. When they saw this news, they were excited about the partnership. They'll definitely be on board. And I mean, of course, this partnership is huge for all three aspects, NBA, WNBA, and USA Basketball, which will branch for, of course, both WNBA and NBA players continually. So that will be good. And, man, it's a nice partnerships. It's a multi-year partnership, too, by the way. I don't remember if I mentioned that.
You're going to see it virtually everywhere with the signage at the games during broadcast, as well as on the socials.
You'll see commercials. You'll probably hear live reads from the broadcasters throughout it. So you'll see a lot more SKIMS. I don't know if you'll necessarily see pictures of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his underwear in the middle of a game, but
that might be a little disconcerting if you did.
You will see ads nonetheless, and you will hear them for sure. But that is what's going on in something immediate for the NBA with their partnership with SKIMS. Not going to expand too much on that because I don't know too much about her underwear. So
I haven't tried it.
I don't have any SKIMS.
No. It's what this is like the shape shifting or whatever, maybe?
I'm not even sure, but it's probably too much for a pair of
I don't know the price, but just a guess.
Just like glorified sliders or something. I don't know.
I thought they were. What I've heard is they're supposed to be form fitting, is what I thought. So, it's supposed to
sliders boxes.
Those aren't necessarily accentuating. All right, I think that's enough.
Moving on. Let's talk about this James Harden trade. BJ, it happened late in the night.
We were sleeping.
Yes. In the early part of this week, and James Harden has finally got his way out of Philly, and he's now in LA with the Clippers
reunited with
He's-
Russell Westbrook, out
his
there with
best is
Kawhi,
money.
out there with Paul George. I mean,
so much superpowers.
yeah, this is just incredible. I think that we both expected this to happen. I think that we were being honest though, we didn't expect it to be this soon into the season though.
I didn't
Once they
expect it
made
to
it
necessarily
past
happen
like
so fast.
yeah, once they made it past that initial point in like the summer where all the deals go down and the blockbusters happen, you really don't expect anything until closer to the trade deadline. But this one, in the height of what everybody else, nationally was talking about in terms of like the NFL trade deadline, this one was really the one that was stealing the show, as you'd expect it to.
Yeah, and 76ers out of this deal, they're going to get Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, an unprotected 2028 first-round pick via the Clippers, 2 second-round picks via the Clippers, first-round pick from the Thunder, and a first-round pick swap via the Clippers. And the Clippers are going to get Harden, of course, PJ Tucker, and hope I don't butcher this guy's last name, Philip Petrusev, or Petrusev. One of those two are correct.
Don't ask me.
But that's what the deal is going. That's what the deal is going for. Clippers lost a little bit of depth, not a ton, because they still. There's plenty of firepower.
They've got a lot of power. Yeah.
They still got plenty of weapons for the team out there. Even though they lost to the Lakers last night in OT, to LeBron's monster game in season number 21. They still have plenty of weapons out there to continue to win games.
This really has to show that I think the process is dead now at this point.
Oh yeah, the process has been dead. I saw a graphic. It had an X on Jimmy Butler, an X on Ben Simmons, an X
James
on
Harden.
Markelle Fultz,
Yeah,
an X on who else did you say?
Harden, of course.
Yeah, Harden.
But
Yeah.
I think there was Tobias Harris? Was he also X'd out, or was he part of that graphic?
No. Tobias is still there.
I knew he was still there, but I didn't remember if he was on that graphic or not.
No. Tobias wasn't on there.
Okay. I know
only for the
Embiid
suckers
is
that
probably
aren't
the
there
only one
anymore.
that's still on the graphic.
Yep,
there.
he was the one in the middle, the only one in color. Everybody else was grade.
Mm.
That was grade, but no. Clippers got a unique thing here with Harden joining the fold. Don't know how it's going to work out. We still have yet to see it play in a game. Harden was on the bench of the game against the Lakers, so he was not a part of that win. Don't know how much he would have contributed. Don't know which version of Harden we're going to get.
There's
some
still
people
questions about if he's in shape or not, ready for like season shape.
Some people are thinking. There's been times where he's come up chubby, and then he's gotten it away pretty fast, and then gotten to hoop and going crazy again. But like, which version of James Harden are we going to see? Are we going to see the one that like Gilbert Arenas was saying, like, oh, now that he's got this trade, he's going to go over to LA and be like,
Harden wilding out back to his Houston days. Is that what you're saying?
Harden of the Houston days. Are we going to get that, or are we going to get lazy Harden? Are we going to get the lumpy version of Harden we saw in Brooklyn and some parts of Philly? Like, what are we getting here? And like, how does the blend mix with those other three stars? Westbrook, they were still trying to work out his pecking order and how much he should be doing. You saw the clip earlier in the season this year of that last second turnaround shot by Westbrook after Kawhi missed the three, and you see Kawhi in the background slamming the ground. How's this going to work? Like, does Russell still stay there? Him and Harden's relationship is not perfect. That is for sure right now. Even though when they're together, they're a dynamic duo. But, Russ left for a reason out of Houston back years ago. And, how's it going to all mesh? Will it mesh? They have the star power, but will the heads butt? Will they be able to keep all four around and see what he can do? Or will it end up being a big three of just Harden, Kawhi, and PG?
Maybe this is an overreaction since we're still early in the season, but I don't think it's going to work out. I think one of the pieces is going to be gone by the deadline. I'm not sure. I think like you were saying, it's going to be Russ that's the odd man out, just because you look at his last few years and he really has not. He's a great player and he's gifted and everything like that, but has he really kind of become a face or an identity of a team at this point? I don't think so. And he wasn't going to be that in with the Clippers. And now that they've got Harden in there with Kawhi and PG and Harden. There may be too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. I just don't see it working out where them,
Harden does do this. I mean, when
that is true. Yeah. Chef Harden, Chef Hardon, or Hard Boy ID or Boy RD. What am I even trying to say? Did I have a stroke? Chef Harden or Chef Boy RD. What are the two?
We'll just, as long as you're not trying to combine the two again.
No. I don't think that was not the intent at first. I don't know what happened. I'll be honest.
Who knows? But yeah, Harden got a new home in LA with the Clippers. We'll see how it goes and see what those games look like. When is the next time they play, BJ?
I would imagine Clippers, Saturday, Sunday, sometime over the weekend. Since they played last night. Could be tomorrow.
Hey, it could be one. They play Monday. They got the weekend off.
Wow. They got a long break in between the game last night.
I'm not tripping here.
They home
until Monday. Yeah, weekend off. Look at
that. They
home
on Monday or what?
No, they're on the road. They're going to New York, actually.
Okay,
so that's when we'll see Harden at the Garden.
Oh,
and then against the Nets.
Marquee matchup, primetime broadcast on our national TV broadcast for the Harden game in New York.
Nope.
Oh, maybe they should flex it.
Don't think maybe. But they've got in-season tournament game Mavs Clippers next Friday. So,
well, never mind. They'll flex it.
That'll be massive. Like now, Luka's got like how many stars do the Clippers have to get to beat Luka Doncic? How many do they need? How many do they need?
Luka and Kyrie. I mean, and Kyrie's missed a couple games here to start the year. So imagine the Mavs are playing as good as they are, and they're not even 100%.
You need LeBron too. You got to get LeBron too to get past Luka. I mean, how many more stars do you need? But
yes.
All right, but yeah, Harden in his new home. We'll see how it goes.
It's gonna be interesting.
More NBA things. Let's go ahead and talk about those overreactions, since we've already been doing some overreacting already. Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a little overreaction into the ring, but I'm going to harken back to my preseason playoff teams list to back it up, so it's not totally an overreaction because I've been thinking this all along. I've had the vision. I've had the vision, BJ.
You had the vision.
Overreaction. Okay, I guess it is an overreaction. Mavericks going to be a top 3 seed in the West by the end of it. I mean, BJ, I had them pegged as the 4 seed for the playoffs this year.
Yeah, and I had them 5.
We're undefeated right now. I mean, when was the last time the Mavericks have won this many games without losing? I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, I saw somewhere that they hadn't started 2-0, let alone 3 or 4-0 to a season going back to probably 2013, 2012, somewhere around there. It was back around the time that they won the title last. But
it doesn't happen. No. We don't win early in the season. Usually
it gets a clicker. Yeah,
we drop games against the Kings when they were bad, and whoever else we'd be playing early in the year.
Phoenix has always been somebody that they start the season off against and they end up losing, especially if it's in Phoenix.
But possible overreaction. Mavs, not just a top 5 seed, a top 3 seed. The way they've started this season, BJ, is just impressive. The early clicking on even though Jason Kidd's still doing some questionable things, man. And I mean, we've had periods where we don't see Lively for like a half or nowhere near as many times or many minutes as we saw him the night before. He's been benching Hardy as well. Why do we have so much Tim Hardaway? Thanks for the 20-plus points in this last game, but come on. Everybody's talking about the future and Jaden Hardy and what we need him for, and even Jason Kidd did the babble. What are you sitting the boy for? What are we playing Timmy so much for? They're the same guy. Well, they do the same things.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the same guy. Timmy's a big old microwave. I almost said the big wrong word there. He's a big bleeping microwave. We know what he is. I don't know. But I think the Mavericks will continue this with or without Kyrie. And I see he's currently doubtful. And with a foot injury, I believe is where his injury's at right now. So
that's right.
Foot injury, concerned about that a little bit. I'm not the happiest with seeing foot injuries. Never good when you're a player like Kyrie that is so dynamic and his ability in stopping on a dime. his handles don't just do it. That footwork is in there too.
Yeah.
So I'm confident in the Mavericks. I've been watching more Rangers than Mavericks lately, admittedly, but I've watched enough Mavericks to know what we're talking about here. Gonna be watching them again here soon. We got more games coming on, but Mavericks are looking good early. I've seen what Lively is able to give us. It's really good. I mean, it's exactly what I wanted, previously.
Same with me. And this might be, not that there was really much of a reason, but now there's even more reason to cut as many minutes from Dwight Powell as you can and give them to Derek Lively.
People have been Dwight hasn't done so bad this year. I mean,
no.
I always see where we're at with Dwight Powell and know where we definitively stand on Dwight. I mean, as long as he's doing good things out there, I'm okay with it for the most part. But I mean, I agree on the front of don't take the minutes away from Lively, because I mean that's your future center right there. I mean, going forward, that's what you want this to be. And I mean, Dwight should be a more complimentary role. I mean, I know it's kind of habit at this point to throw him in and do those things that you've always wanted him to do. And I mean, he knows the team, knows the system. He's been able to mold with anybody. He's good along thread. And sometimes he can randomly go off and have a really good time out there. And you'll think he's Blake Griffin for a second.
And sometimes he'll jump and bang his head on a low hanging.
Sometimes he's Bambi out there. I mean, it's what Dwight Powell is at this point.
Yeah.
But you need to see as much Lively as possible, as long as he's giving you good minutes out there. I mean, if he's out there getting cooked, I mean, try something else, of course. But when he's not, you're trying to give this rookie some work. You got to give him a run to get out there and get better. But yeah, that's overreaction from me for the Mavericks. Let me take a look. I believe I had another one here. Let me look at the teams so far. I think the Orlando Magic are going to be better than what was overall expected. They're 2-2 right now, and they've lost some ones where they were in it for the majority of the game and then just kind of blow it at the end. The Clippers game being an example of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Magic team has always had a whole lot of talent on it, a whole lot of young talent though, and that's their problem. No superstar power out there. I mean, young budding superstar in Paolo Banchero, but still a whole lot of youth out there that's not really, ready for the big time yet. They finally got some guys healthy. Jonathan Isaac coming back has been good for them, but I guess what I want to say about the Orlando Magic as far as an overreaction, I mean, I kind of said it. They'll just be better than what we expected. They'll be a feisty play-in.
Yeah, I was about to say, you think the ceiling's about the play-in?
Yeah, I think they'll be pesky at the play-in. Not necessarily a lock for it or anything on the bottom end. Even I think they'll be pesky for it.
But hanging around that 10, 11, 12 range.
And if Paolo just continues to get better, Franz as well, and they stay healthy, they'll be a pesky team. Kind of like the Pistons will probably continue to be pesky because the healthy Cade Cunningham has been a problem already so far this year. They're 2-3, but I mean they're right there with the Magic in terms of the early season win-loss. I mean it's super early, whole lot of season left to go, but I mean early indications are allowed. Do you have any overreactions about this early going, BJ? We mentioned one.
Yeah, I do have an overreaction. At this point, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP of the season. Like I said, it's obviously early, Drew,
Lucas
but I've got
hello.
What's up?
Lucas says hello.
I say hello right back to Luca, but I'll give you some numbers to back it up, Drew. You look at box score production as compared to fantasy points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is averaging so far 52.3 fantasy points per game. When you extrapolate that out through the course of a season, give him about 68 games or so, that average or that total points becomes 3,556.4 fantasy points per game, which would be the fourth highest of any player going back to Derrick Rose 2011, and more than Derrick Rose in 2011 had at this point. The only players that had more were James Harden 2018, Russell Westbrook 2017, and Steph Curry in 2016. He outperforms Rose and Steph Curry 2015. Gilgeous-Alexander's season numbers at this point are almost the same as it was almost the same as the last 5 previous MVP guards at 52.1 fantasy points per game. So I think it's obviously it's too early to say, but keep up this production, stay healthy, and we could be talking about an MVP in OKC named SGA.
I wish, now that we're on this part of it, I wish I could find this graphic I saw earlier about Luka and something he did since the first time since Steph in like 2015 did it. I don't remember what it was. And I don't know where it was on my timeline to find it now. You lucked out, BJ.
Hey, I want Luka to win it too.
I do have something for Luka, though. I don't know what his average is at now because he's had a game since I last peeked at it. But I was on good old DraftKings, and you talk about averages in, you said fantasy, right?
Yeah, fantasy points per game.
I don't know necessarily his fantasy averages. I'd have to look at those. I don't have them on my team. But DraftKings so far in the points he accumulates over there, he was averaging 70+ per. I don't know about this last game and where it factors in now. It might just be a hair below 70, but still.
I was just going based off of ESPN scoring system.
Right. So. Okay.
Luka is tied with Jokic as co-favorites right now, betting odds to win the MVP. If you look at that number, plus 400.
Plus 400.
You got Jokic and Doncic at plus 400. Tatum's at plus 650. Giannis at plus 800. Joel Embiid at plus 1,000. Steph plus 1,100 and Devin Booker plus 1,500. SGA is 8th shortest odds at plus 1,800 to this point.
I would toss $20 on Embiid and put a lot more on Luka.
Yeah.
At a certain point in the season. If I see 20 straight games from him, okay. Well, no, the odds would be different. Dang it.
Yeah, I was going to say, get it now. See if maybe you can cash it out if he has a couple of slunkers.
I'd do it now.
Yeah.
All right. And the last thing we want to take a look at before we transition into BJ's best is this in-season tournament. Again, they got in-season tournament courts for all 30 teams. I think is very interesting. Maybe you could let me forecast this for the future. You can probably see the WNBA testing something like this out in the future. They've been bouncing ideas and testing things off of each other for years now. So, and this is definitely a first to what they've got. Obviously, the in-season tournament itself is a first, but little did we expect to see in-season tournament courts every game.
Yeah. I think it's similar to what they've done with like the different jerseys, different jersey, you have a different court. It's all kind of, an homage almost that whatever kind of the theme is, there's going to be a court, there's going to be a jersey, and it's going to all really be a beautiful visual product.
Right. The courts, which will be used for group play and in the quarterfinals, showcase a bold and distinctive design scheme league-wide, making it instantly clear to fans when a game carries NBA in-season tournament implications. The unified look represents the first time that the league has implemented an alternate court for all 30 teams. This will also mark the first time that the Boston Celtics, Chicago Bulls, Los Angeles Lakers, New Orleans Pelicans, and Portland Trail Blazers will play on an alternate court in the history of their franchises.
Wow, that is interesting.
I guess it's just the longevity of it, I guess. I don't know. They just play on the old classic courts that they're used to. I mean, the Chicago Bulls got their same old logo. They've never rebranded any bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they still got the old bull with the horns. I'm sure they got alternates, but yeah, I mean,
the thing that's interesting to me when you look at these, and I don't know if you have a picture. I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's kind of, we'd have to go through this article together, but I can share this screen here.
I think it's amazing that each of these, like all of these courts are painted. So you don't see anything like any wood color or anything like that. Every single bit of it is painted. So you can look right there. There's Atlanta with the light blue. You've got Boston with the distinct Celtic green.
I think that one looks really dope.
I like the Celtics right now. That's the best one we've seen early on. Brooklyn's all right, not up there. Charlotte's okay, but I think I'd like more teal. Yeah. Chicago's is all right.
Chicago's is pretty. I like Chicago's. I'm glad.
Not as much as I think Boston's is better, just a little bit.
Yeah, I would go with Boston's. Well, I really like the red. Yeah, maybe
The red's
Boston.
good, but I think it'd be Boston then Chicago right now for me. Cavs is okay, but I think that's kind of a little wood colored almost. The Mavs one's all right. I'm
I would
not.
have liked some more blue out of us.
Yeah, I would have too. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it could have been worse.
Right. Denver Nuggets 5280.
5,280 feet above sea level, the Mile High City.
But boo.
I know it's kind of tough if you don't know that to know that it's Denver.
Yeah, but still, the random. I'm not gonna say random. We know what it means, but
yeah, the Mile High basketball.
No, it just there's something about it that just doesn't hit for me. Detroit.
No, not up there.
What is it about the center court part that's just weirding me out when they on some?
I know it's on all of them. I like the
just some
font
designs
on Detroit.
Looks more different than I don't know. It just I don't know. I don't know what it is or how to describe what I'm thinking of here. But
like
some of them,
like the
some
stripe
of them
is
fit me differently than the other ones. Like I don't know, just the color scheme might just be too strong for what the court is. Like if the court was black, I probably wouldn't have a problem.
The
with
red stripe would be all right. Yeah,
the gray is just like I don't know if that fits right. But
no.
Anyway,
San Fran,
Golden State.
I'm not a fan of the brown and the yellow.
Nope, weird. H-Town
is okay, but I'd say that's still behind Chicago.
Yeah. Indy.
It looks like Comic Sans almost.
I would have rather them had the Pacer logo in the middle. And
yeah, I know. I don't understand that.
Whatever. Clips, boo.
Clips is not bad, but not great. Lakers is pretty good. I mean, for an alternate, that's still honoring kind of what they're always.
They kept it very Lakers.
Similar.
Didn't change a whole lot. You see, Boston had the different font and Boston in the middle.
Yeah.
Lakers just smacked their logo, didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
Memphis Grizz. It's probably the best looking gray court that I've seen.
Yeah, I think so, but it's still not up there to me at least.
Right.
I like the red.
The Bulls one might look better than this one.
Yeah, it is. The Bulls is still better. Milwaukee's isn't bad, but it's weird, like tan almost.
Yeah, it's a cream city. Cream.
Yeah.
Cream there, but yeah, I don't know.
And maybe these will look different when we actually see them in the stadiums, but
I'm not with this one.
Yeah.
T-Wolves.
All right.
They didn't do too much.
No, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean it's simple and to the point.
The Pelicans.
They didn't go crazy with the colors. Like this is one of those where I'm okay. Like it's a slight color change and doesn't throw everything off. Just different versions of blue.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. All right, now I got a problem. Who did the Joker get a hold of this one for the Pelicans?
So I feel like this is honoring the Mardi Gras and the baby cake, but the Pelican logo is almost impossible to see.
It's an ugly iteration colors on that Pelican, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I should have done something different with that.
But it is definitely a Joker-esque feel.
Yeah, it's ugly. Ugh.
New York, that's pretty similar to what New York always does, it feels like.
I don't know if I would. I mean, I feel like they made it. I don't know if I like the font on the New York. Like you could have gone somewhere else. It would have been a better font here in the middle.
Yeah, I think just because of the shadowing.
Like the shadow, yeah, I don't like the shadow on this. It might even be better if you flip the colors, have orange on top and white on bottom.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how much of a difference that'll make.
Especially with the dark blue stripe there underneath. Yeah, that could have been really good. I think that's all right, but it could have been much better.
Had potential. Okay, see Thunder, I like this.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
And then down bottom they got the State.
Yeah, I saw that with the Bucks at the center court as opposed to down at the bottom.
And we've already seen this logo iteration from them because they have a jersey edition that is that color.
I would imagine that's what they'll wear.
Ooh.
I love the Magic, especially the star. That's I've always been
throwback jerseys.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. I've always been somebody that loves the throwbacks. That's exactly what I would want.
This is now the best gray court.
That's the best gray court for sure. I think that tops Chicago. I have Boston still number one though.
I don't know, man. I might
Boston,
have to look at
Orlando,
Boston
Chicago.
again. Magic might overtake it. 76ers.
Sixers, that's not bad.
I'm getting tired of the brotherly love stuff. They forced it on their City Edition jerseys, which we'll talk about at some point. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that when we talk City Edition jerseys. But I think this is
Yeah.
not one of the better red courts for sure. Oh, Phoenix Suns.
I like
Not
the blue
bad
and the
here.
purple, but
It's not bad.
no, it's not.
I like the design at the bottom.
Yeah.
I feel like we
it's
need some more orange
understated.
though.
Yeah, I definitely need
Where's
some
our
more
orange? Heck, I might have been better if the court was orange.
The purple is like a throwback to the Nash days. If they just throw a little bit
but
more
they
orange in
left
there.
out the orange mostly.
Yeah.
Though. That's what stinks. Boo.
Yeah.
All right, Trailblazers, Rip City. Not one of the better red courts.
Yeah.
Sacramento King. Okay.
Sacramento.
It's not
Looks like
bad.
a Premier League logo at mid-court, though. Like it looks like a lion with a crown on. Do you see that?
It is.
Okay. It's not bad, but it's an interesting choice. The Spurs.
Spurs always get Viva La with it.
Yeah, that's the Tower of Americas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
I like the Fiesta look.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I almost wish it was brighter, honestly, which
Yeah.
I don't feel like I would ever ask for.
And that's the thing is that with these, they might look better and like actually with the lights on them. Ooh,
I'm
Toronto.
down. They're rocking it.
That's pretty.
This is how you go simple colors and just kill it here.
And with the gray, the dark gray, and the darker gray with the lighter gray, that's
the only thing that I might have done differently if I was nitpicking, which is make this black on both sides.
Yeah.
Just have a little more. But I'm totally.
I like it.
This is one of the better ones for me.
For sure. Utah.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh. Wow.
Okay.
Utah's doing it right.
They're coming for that number 1 spot.
Yeah, they are. Oh man, that's gonna be tough to rank these. Maybe we just have to pick the best one.
Man, I almost wish the Utah Jazz was in black over here on the sides and the 50 in the bottom was black.
Yeah.
Oh man, I still love it though. That's nice. Ooh, upper echelon. Really oh man. When Washington Wiz here. Man.
That's all right. But
so,
all right. So Utah
here. Utah's
up there. Orlando, Toronto, Boston, Chicago are the 5 for me.
Do I want Phoenix or do I want? Because I'm not putting Chicago in there. So it's either Phoenix or that is nice.
Yeah.
Phoenix. Was that it? Phoenix or I had another one that I liked, right? Or was it Chicago? It was either Phoenix.
I think it was Chicago or
All
Phoenix.
right, I'll go Chicago. We'll put Chicago in there. So Chicago, Boston,
Orlando.
Chicago, Boston, Orlando, and these last 2, which was Toronto.
Utah, Utah and Toronto. Yeah.
Nice.
And Phoenix is honorable mention too, but
Phoenix honorable mention. We'll give that for sure. Nice. Those are pretty interesting courts for sure.
Yeah.
Some of those are some of those are really nice. Did we miss anything on this side of things,
so.
Mr. BJ? We did not. Time for BJ's best.
That's right, Drew. And well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit at the Open, but man, how about those Rangers? In the grand scheme of things, Drew, I know that this may not be the most watched World Series of all time, but gosh darn it, doesn't it still matter to some people? It still matters to you. It still matters to me. And it still matters around the Metroplex. I know you are, a Metroplex groupie at heart, even though you have transplanted yourself elsewhere now. But, I mean, I'll tell you what, I last night we were watching the end of the game and thought it was either the 4th of July or New Year's. Somebody was shooting off firecrackers or fireworks or something somewhere around here because of it. I was amazed that, I can remember when the Mavericks won their title back in 2011. I don't think there was that much hubbub or kind of deal made, and may have had different neighbors back then. I can't remember. It's been a long time, but just think about this, Drew. What we saw may never be seen again in postseason history, in World Series history. Just all the records that the Rangers set this year along their way to the title. It's tough to say that even though they didn't have the best record in baseball, I don't think anybody's saying that this title, that they're not the best team this year, because they had times where they were the best team in baseball. They started off so well, even what's that?
They were unstoppable sometimes.
Yeah, I was to say the way their offense was, they set, like, I think not just franchise records, but they may have been close to setting records for league in terms of how many double-digit run games they scored, how many double-digit run victories they had total. I mean,
they were blowing the doors off.
Yeah, and then as the season goes along, you have injuries. Injuries happen to everybody and everything. Yeah, you saw DeGrom didn't pitch from May until the start of next year.
That's one that's gonna, when you see that early in the season like that, I'm like, oh, well, season over. Let's go ahead and start planning for next year type.
And
stuff.
There were a lot of people, rightfully so, that probably felt that way, but that was not the case for the front office. That's not the case for the club, and that's what you'd hope. Because I mean, you lose DeGrom. Oh, well, let's just go and get his teammate over in New York. Bring in Max Scherzer, who kind of steadied the ship. You bring in Jordan Montgomery, who, like, a lot of people thought, oh, this is just another Cardinal scrub washed up this year because the Cardinals just had a down year. No, he proved that the way he likes to pitch and trying to get swings and misses and chases as opposed to just dotting the zone, that can work. Nathan Eovaldi, who will forever be remembered in Boston for what he did in the 2018 World Series, even though he lost that game. He allowed the Red Sox to withstand the Dodgers and win that series. And I mean,
10-1 in the postseason.
5-0 this year. No other starting pitcher has won 5 games in a single postseason. Drew, no team had even won more than 8 games on the road in a single postseason until the Rangers did it this year. They won 11. They were 11-0. That's never going to be seen again. I can't imagine it being seen again.
It won't, because we're awesome.
I don't think it will. I think
unless we do it.
It's going to be almost impossible to top, because you've got to be a wild card team. You've got to, I mean, the only way it probably could have been topped is if they had gone 5 against Baltimore and then won the game 5 in Baltimore. They would have been potentially 12-0 on the road. So, or if they had played, if Arizona had home field and they played 2 there, then 3 at home and 2 there again, like similar to the Houston series. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that you could even get, maybe 2 more games. So I think the most that anybody could do potentially is 13-0, having won all of the games on the road. But they won 13 games. They were 13, and I believe, I want to say 4 in the postseason.
Was it 3? We lost. No, we went
3 to Houston and 1 to Arizona.
You're correct.
So they were 13-4, and 11. Drew, 11 of those wins came on the road. I don't think that's ever going to be seen again.
Unless we do it.
But I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly content to finally have one, Drew. The heartbreak of 2011. And
I'm greedy now.
Hey,
I'm back in the playoffs and we made it all the way to the World Series and won that thing. We're just getting started, Bubba. You know how long Corey signed on for? You know how long Marcus Semien signed on for? DeGrom and Scherzer just got here. You think they want to leave now? You think they want to leave? When we got Adolis, he grew up here.
Do you know that
the player that he is here, man?
Do you know that Evan Carter is still going to be considered a rookie for the entirety of next year?
Just had the most doubles in postseason history, yeah.
You've not seen Jack Leiter yet?
We haven't seen Jack Leiter.
You haven't seen Kamar Rocker. You have not seen Wyatt Langford, who just got drafted this year. Like, there's talent.
Nice.
There is talent, and there's potential to extend this championship window beyond just this year. As much as everybody talked about Arizona being built to be a team that can make it back in years to come, Rangers are tied for the 3rd best odds of any team for next year, behind Atlanta and the Dodgers.
We're fixing to do some Astro stuff, but we're not going to cheat.
I like that. I like the thought of that.
We're going to be postseason relevant for that long.
I would say
it's about six straight years.
We've got 1. They've got 2 in air quotes. we need to catch up. I think we need to catch up to them. What do
Hey,
you say?
we're going back to back, BJ. We're gonna catch up.
That's your bold prediction?
Going back to back.
Back to back. Well,
Going back to
considering that 2 years ago nobody was thinking that the Rangers would ever get back, the fact that they could go back to back is still mind-boggling.
And 4 years ago, we didn't even have the new field, and I was covering this team.
That's right. You were. I spent many a day at the old field. I spent many a day here at the new field. When I was lucky enough to go to the first game of the National League Championship Series back in 2020, the first game at Globe Life Field that had fans. We all had to do the COVID precautions, wear the mask, everything like that, because it was still in the height of the pandemic. I would not have even thought when I went to that game and saw Corey Seager playing for the Dodgers that one day after I saw him, they didn't win that night against Atlanta in the NLCS. They did come back from a 3-1 deficit to win and went on to win the World Series that year. The Dodgers did. But you would have, considered me a, poop eater almost if you told me back then that Corey Seager would be a Ranger in 3 seasons, 4 years from then, and he would win another World Series MVP title and lead Texas to the promised land for the first time. And I think it's honestly really fitting today of all days, Drew, right after the Rangers won their first World Series, the man responsible in maybe to some extent for the loss in 2011, not Ron Washington, but Nelson Cruz announced his retirement from MLB on the day after the Rangers finally get it done. He could retire a Ranger. He was best known for what he did while he was with the Rangers, but
what he did.
What he did and what he didn't do. But it just
what he did.
Somehow, some way, there is funny timing in this world of ours. That's BJ's best, Drew.
There we go. I like that BJ's best, and
I do too.
I don't know if he'll come retire a Ranger or not, but Nelson Cruz
we'll have to
retirement. See. And shout out to the Rangers and shout out to our Rangers gear here today. Man,
that's right, Drew. And I've got some World Series merch coming on the way. And if you would like to get some World Series merch, why don't you go over and shop our friends over at Fanatics. Drew, I saw that they've got a deal still going on until the end of the night. If you are wanting to get some World Series merch, it may not apply, but any other merch you might be looking for, you can get up to 50% off for some fantastic savings by using the promo code SPICE. This is going to end at midnight tonight. That's Eastern time on Thursday, November the 2nd. But World Series gear, you can celebrate the Rangers in style. My gear's coming here pretty soon. Those City Edition jerseys that we'll be talking about here pretty soon are available on sale now at Fanatics. You can get yourself some weekly deals. If you become a Fanatics MVP, you get exclusive deals that aren't available to just anybody. But whatever your heart's desire is, you can find it over at Fanatics, because Fanatics is officially licensed everything.
That's right, BJ. You guys go get that Rangers merch and support the new World Series champions. And after you do that, make your way on over to TeePublic and shop with our guys over there. There's no sale, unfortunately. You're catching it at the wrong time, but you can still get the gift of free shipping. And if you get up bright and early for work in the morning, you can get that fix of sports and your morning coffee to prepare you for the work day ahead. We've got you covered with it as well. Listen to episodes of the Lowdown while sipping from a Lowdown mug. Go to the link in our description and shop for that Lowdown mug. Start your day with the Lowdown.
Absolutely. And Drew, as we do each and every week around this time, it's time to find out what is on Drew's mind.
Well, BJ, this is another one of those days where, it's a tough choice to pick what's on Drew's mind today, because there's a lot. But there's some cool news that came out earlier here today, BJ, and I want to jump over to it. Not a whole lot of stuff that I can give you about it, because it kind of spoils it. If you ever want to finally watch this show or the spinoffs that are coming along with it, then BJ, you can check out House of the Dragon Season 2 coming out next summer. Or you can check out another prequel series that is coming out for Game of Thrones called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight. It's going to begin production this spring, so it's going to be coming after House of the Dragon Season 2, obviously, probably beginning of 2025 sometime. But we're loaded with content from Game of Thrones universe with House of the Dragon. It was great news because of the writer's strike. We didn't get to continue things at the pace that they were going initially.
That's what I was just about to say. Isn't it great timing that the writer's strike's over? Hopefully the actor's strike coming to an end here pretty soon as well. And so they can start making some new stuff again.
Right. So they're making content right now for House of the Dragon. That filming ought to be done here pretty soon. Season 1 debuted on my birthday last year, BJ. So that would be August 21st for you guys. Don't know that out there. Make sure you write it on your calendar. Send me a little birthday gift to the Lowdown. So it debuted back then in the later part of August. So I'm anticipating a before debut here to possibly end around that time, maybe in early August or something like that. But I'd have to go back and look because as a Game of Thrones nerd, waiting for the new seasons to come about years ago, back when it took 2 years to get season 8, when everybody got disappointed. Yeah. I was hearkening back you just have time to think about Game of Thrones so much. So you just hearken back. Well, let's see. When did season 1 come out? When did season 2 come out? When did season 3 come out? And all those seasons and the seasons that they came out. Well, when do you think this next one's going to come out type stuff? And that's what I'll be doing with this House of the Dragon, playing with that and seeing when exactly it could debut. And I'm probably going to hearken back to Game of Thrones and see what's going on with that. But since we know it's coming in the summer, it'll either be the middle of it or the end of it right around the same time the first season debuted. Have it kind of a 2 years later type thing.
How long did it take the first season by the time they started production of it to when it premiered?
Oh, I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay. I was to say that's usually what I would do if, depending on how long that takes and anything that might be necessary, like any computer, editing, like graphics people or anything like special effects artists. Like it depends on how long it takes them if they've got to add stuff in to make that product come, because it's not just the filming and everything like that. Once you begin production of it, a lot of the time and why it takes so long after it's filmed to see it is because they go in and add the effects and everything like that to make it look and pop.
And I just came across something on here, which I didn't see this before I began talking about Game of Thrones here today in House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon Season 2 will debut in early summer 2024. So I was kind of on the right track. So we're probably going to see it in June. They're
going to try to go back to back with House of the Dragon Season 2 leading into another prequel, maybe?
Well, no. The prequel, that doesn't start shooting until the spring. So it won't be ready until the following year. That might be something that'll lead into House of the Dragon's third season. So when Tales of Dunk and Egg get kicked off. Oh, wait. Hold on. Is that the... Hold on. Is there other news, too?
Is there?
I missed that?
Is there?
They got the Hedge Knight one and Dunk and Egg. Oh! Well, heck. Multiple... They're getting going.
They're getting going, Drew.
All right, so they are intending to do the Dunk and Egg show. I didn't see this either. I only saw the other two. So they're railing in all the spinoffs right now. So season 2,
Flush with
Dragon, is early next summer. And then Dunk and Egg, another spinoff series, Tales of Dunk and Egg, will shoot in spring of 2024. And the Hedge Knight will begin production this spring.
Okay.
Well, they're beginning at the same time. Is that the same movie? Okay, I'm tripping. I might be overthinking what I'm doing here. They got 2 different titles here. Prequels to a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Hedge Knight, and then Tales of Dunk and Egg. I'm pretty sure it is going to be 2 different series. I'm not tripping over here. But they're saying they're starting shooting at the same time, so it's like, whoa.
Yeah, they probably are.
They are definitely 2 different titles. So it's maybe just a coincidental thing, and they're starting at the same time. Let's hope that, because I don't want to look dumb right here.
You're about to be flush with content, man, in the Game of Thrones universe.
It's just going to be in a rotation once things get going. It depends on when they plan to drop. I bet it's going to end up being in a sequence, so we're not without Game of Thrones really anymore. So
Yeah.
fans don't have to wait the 1.5 and 2 years that they did years in the past. Now we're going to have 3 shows running at all the same time by 2025. House of the Dragon will be on its 3rd season to drop at some point then. Tales of Dunk and Egg will drop at some point then as well, and so will The Hedge Knight. So a lot of Game of Thrones content coming out. So Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, I mean, it's all the same dang universe, but it's just exciting to see. And it's crazy that it's been over a year since the debut of season 1, and we still won't get season 2 for almost 2 full years after the season 1 debut. That is some typical Game of Thrones-ish right there to make us wait nearly 2 years. But the writer's strike and all that had a big part to do with it, or we would have probably got it in a whole lot better time. And they'll probably, hopefully, make up for it on the back end from season 2 to season 3 transition. Season 2 will have less episodes, I believe, than season 1, which we had 8 in season 1. No, we had 10. 10.
So 10 to 8.
10, so we're going to have 8 probably in this second season.
And they'll be longer, you think?
No, probably not. They only did that with season 8 of Game of Thrones a little bit.
Okay.
The episodes were extended too much.
Gotcha.
But I don't think they would extend them in this season. If they do, that'd be awesome. I mean, just little mini movies every night like they are anyway. But yeah, that's what's on Drew's mind. The Game of Thrones universe here with House of the Dragon coming out early next summer. It's gonna be
awesome. Well, let's get back into it. We still got a ton to go over. We got the WNBA draft lottery that has been announced. When that's going to be happening, Drew, it's going to be smack dab in the middle of a triple header on ESPN on December the 10th. It'll happen about 4:30 Eastern between the last 2 games of the Basketball Hall of Fame Women's Showcase that day. They'll be playing 3 games back to back to back on ESPN. And the 4 teams that will be qualified for the upcoming lottery are, of course, the Indiana Fever, the Los Angeles Sparks, Phoenix Mercury, and the Seattle Storm.
Yes, indeed, BJ. And I saw, I believe, just a graphic. Who do you think will get the number 1 pick out of these 4 teams? And I tossed in a bit of chaos just because we need this team to get back into the fold, I guess, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Fever get back-to-back number 1 picks.
That would be crazy considering they had never had one to begin with until last year to get back-to-back.
Correct. And I feel like they're going to need somebody of that caliber to join them to get out of the non-playoff slump that they've had. They haven't seen playoffs since Tamika Catchings was there, which has been 7 seasons now. She's retired from the game. And you got to find a way back. I mean, you got enough. You drafted enough young talent. You haven't kept it all. I mean, Emily Inksler's no longer there. Nalissa Smith is there. Aaliyah Boston is there. That's your franchise center. You still got Kelsey Mitchell, a dynamic guard. I mean, you've got weapons out there that can help. Grace Berger, a young player out there as well. They don't have Destiny Henderson anymore. She's not with the team. But, I mean, they've been able to weed out what they want to keep around. And under Lynn Dunn, things are moving a little bit better now. I think they get the luck of the draw one more time and get that number 1 pick.
They do have the most odds.
I was horrendously wrong in the order of it last year. I'll try it again now.
Okay.
Number 1 pick, Indiana Fever. Number 2 pick, Phoenix Mercury. Number 3 pick, Seattle Storm. Number 4 pick, LA Sparks.
So you're just basically going with the most odds. So Indiana and Phoenix are 1 and 2 in terms of who has the best odds to get those picks, and then you flip Seattle and LA.
Whatever works.
We'll see how it all shakes out. That's going to be on December the 10th. The rest of the first round will go like this: Dallas, Washington, Minnesota, Atlanta, Dallas again, Connecticut, then the Liberty and the Sparks. And so it's going to be really interesting to see who gets that number 1 pick. Drew, is it going to be Caitlin Clark that ends up being number 1 selection?
If she gets in the draft.
Yeah, and you think she will?
Possibly.
That's possible.
Make more money in college. I would stay. Stay. If I had one more eligible year and I knew I'd probably be number 1 the next year anyway, I'd probably stay.
I wouldn't blame her. I wouldn't blame her either.
And man, what sickens me about this when you start reading off the rest of the first round, like, oh my God, Dallas again with 2 first-round picks. Like, I hate that we're here again.
But they had a good year, and they got helped by Chicago having not a good year.
I understand, but it's problematic for them because it's more. It's. We thought last year was bad with what the talent they had and what they had to weed out to get to where they are. It's going to be so much worse next year. Because they have 3 players that did not see action for them that were supposed to be on the team this last year. Diamond DeShields, who was out with the knee injury. Lou Lopez, who was out also with an injury. And Soares, who they knew was going to be out with an injury all year. So, like, 3 players that I'm sure expect to be contributors even going into next year. I mean, Diamond, they wanted her to be a big part of this when they lost, the forwards that they did, and Alicia Gray and Kayla Thornton. That was who they first brought in. She's going to be a significant piece in the rotation going forward. Like, who does that weed out from the current pile that you have? And then Lou Lopez, provided she gives you what you anticipate she can as a rookie, and she does make the team, who does that weed out for you? Does that boot out of Crystal Dangerfield, who had a really nice year for you? So how does that work out with your cuts again? Or do you get back to what you've always been doing, drafting these players, these young rookies, and cutting them once again? So, like, what is the point of your draft asset process if once you get these players, all they do for you is compete in camp and then you cut them? Because at this point, this is going to be, we thought last year was the hardest camp. Well, now it's going to be even harder next year because they got those 3 players on the shelf that they expect to return, plus 2 top 10 picks that will be in the mix as well. Like, how difficult is that now? I mean, it's crazy out here. It's a 12-person roster, 3 players waiting in the wings, and you will draft 2 in the first round, plus however many more picks that they have throughout the draft. I don't know what the rest of their draft looks like for 2023, but still, I mean, that's 5 that'll be competing with what you already have. I mean,
exactly.
And off the top, I don't know what their free agency looks like, but I think Satu might be due for a deal. I think she might have actually redone one this year.
I thought so.
I've been it hasn't been an on-point wings year for me. I've been off, but it's still a lot to figure out, and just drafting some more high talent, young players in the first round and the first, 10 picks is just, here we are again. Like, okay, which one of these top 10 picks that you draft in these 2 spots are going to lose? I mean, they're going to get it's going to be their dream to be drafted in the top 10 in the lottery of the WNBA. And then they're going to get cut. I mean, will we have another Chelsea Dungy-like career where they're kind of there for the first? Maybe they make the team or there for the first year, don't really play, and then they're done with their playing career. Now they're just coaching. Or you're Bella Hallery, you play for a year, you take a year off, then you decide you don't want to come back to basketball now. A couple of top 7 picks from those 2 girls. So I mean, it's just another shuffle of player. Like, where's Charlie? Charlie wasn't able to find a team last year, the number 1 overall pick. Yeah. Are they going to part with a walk if you bring in Soares and that fits more what you want to do here? Do you keep Kalani Brown, another top pick? You didn't draft this one, but put another one on the shelf to go find another team. I don't know, but it's a weird world out there in Dallas where they just always end up in this exact position all the time, where they're either cutting people that they brought in and told you were going to be a big part of things, or cutting the people that they draft, saying that these assets are going to be a big, or like utilize these assets for the team going forward. And, it'd just be players that end up, making it through training camp, maybe make the team, ride the bench all the year and are gone the next year. Or they do that for 2 years and then they're gone. I mean, that's the Charlie Collier case, or the Chelsea Dungy case. I don't know. Or the player makes the team and they go to another team and find success like they always do.
Yeah.
I mean, if Ashley Jones would have ended up staying on the Aces roster, she would have been a champion this year. But Kayla Thornton got to play in the finals this year on her new team. So it just continues. There's one player at least, it seems like every year, that finds immediate, success, the following year. Alicia Gray became an all-star. I mean, so Alicia Gray, all-star. Kayla Thornton playing in the WNBA finals, 2 firsts. I mean, you can't really beat that for those guys. But
No.
as far as this lottery goes, BJ, the Sparks are kind of due for an LA franchise that needs to kind of get back into the mix. They missed the playoffs a lot lately. Really haven't been the same since the Candace Parker era, back when she was getting playing time in the playoffs. Shout out to Derek Fisher not playing her sometimes.
Yeah.
And the Sparks are a team that's got multiple championships under its belt and have just kind of been out of the mix for a while. And that's one of those teams that you want to get back in the fold, kind of like how the Lakers were out of it for a little while at the tipping of the Kobe era into what eventually became LeBron. And then they were just kind of afloat, adrift in the NBA for a while. New York Liberty. I'm not jumping to New York Liberty. Let's stay in the lottery here, buddy. Just saw the name and ended up talking about it. Phoenix Mercury. They're going to have a time to rebuild their roster now with a top 4 pick. I mean, that's going to help out things. It just depends on who ends up staying. I know people have some extra COVID years, but lottery coming on December 10th, BJ, was the date on that. And it's going to be 30 minutes at 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern. And you already mentioned it was going to be between the last 2 games of the Basketball Hall of Fame Women's Showcase tripleheader that day. The draft is scheduled for April 15th when we get around to that. Let's go ahead and try and bust through some things here. I drug on draft lottery a little bit longer than intended. I always end up doing these things. A babble mouth over here, BJ. Don't let me do that. Just want to jump into this because it's almost old news now. The Las Vegas Aces championship, of course, going back to back, and they had their championship parade, and they've had them a little tour going around having some fun. I mean, saying whatever during their parade, whatever. Becky
As you'd expect.
Saying Asia Wilson going to be the goat of all goats, and they go into the Usher concert. They got to dance on stage. Usher sang to Asia Wilson and fed her a chocolate strawberry or what? What's going on?
Wilding out over there, man. I mean, it is Vegas.
Yes. Yeah. Wild things. They're definitely having the time of their lives, though.
As they should. I mean, first back-to-back champion in 20 plus years. I mean, they gotta live it up.
Oh yeah, big time. They've had great parades and commentary and celebration the past couple of years. So
yeah,
it's been definitely fun to watch them enjoy themselves. That's for sure. And they'll have a lot of pieces coming back for them next year to try and do it again for a third straight time. And hopefully one of those persons that comes back is the legendary Candace Parker. You could ride off into the quote unquote sunset in this one. I almost want to pose the question. Can this possibly be a ride into the sunset situation? Yes, you won your championship. Yes, you did play for this team a little bit, but you weren't a part of the championship run through the playoffs. It doesn't hit the same as it would if you were playing. I know Candace feels. I'd say I know. I would imagine Candace feels that way as well. So I mean, while you could retire off and go into the sunset with this championship and be a part of their back-to-back. It's not back-to-back for you. It is your third title, but
I don't think she's leaving. I think she's coming back.
So we could see some more Candace Parker next year.
I think so. If we're going to see more DT, we need to see more Candace Parker.
Well, it seems like we don't have a choice to see more DT. She's going to be balling until she's Nancy's age. When she came back to 50. DT is she just refuses to retire. That's just she's just like, no, I will keep playing. She's coming back for another one, and I would imagine whoever they draft is going to.
This could be waiting in the wings. Yeah.
Yes. So they're hoping they can get to number one, and then Caitlin comes on out, and they can get Caitlin and be like, "All right, that's a great transition, DT to Caitlin Clark." It's pretty simple.
Man, that would be something.
Yeah, they don't deserve it, but
whatever.
No. Seattle Storm. We'll see what happens with them. Joel Lloyd's still out there. Somehow missed out on the first team with all the buckets that she got this year. All WNBA first team didn't make that. She's going to be coming back good with Jordan Horston and some company out there. Hopefully they can get a top pick to help them out and be a little bit more relevant again, because just getting Joel a little help. Maybe they fight for that playoff spot at the bottom like the Chicago Sky did this year. Who knows? But we'll see. I don't know how I got off on that tangent again. That's my fault. I'm everywhere with that. Anyway, Chicago Sky got a new general manager while we're just drifting off to other teams now, or Drew is anyway. Chicago Sky, new general manager, BJ. I'm going to let you say his name because I'm fear like I'm going to butcher it.
Okay, if I'm right, and please don't shoot me if I'm wrong, it's Jeff Paglioccia.
Jeff Paglioccia. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember how you had said it earlier. I was like, I'm gonna tell this one up. So Chicago Sky have named Jeff Paglioccia as their general manager. The organization announced it earlier on Tuesday. We record this on Thursday. Weatherspoon and Paglioccia replaced James Wade, who served as the organization's head coach and GM, and now they finally split the two jobs in Chicago, which I think is the better move. Anyway, he was GM and head coach from 2019 to July 1st when he announced he was leaving as assistant coach for the Raptors. It's a good thing for Chicago to have the position split. I think it's a lot more stress off of whoever the head coach is.
Yeah.
Well, we know who the head coach is, Weatherspoon, but it's definitely kind of. I mean, it's split. I think it's better to split things up so people can focus on being the GM and focus on being the head coach instead of trying to do both at the same time. Because it just ends up working out better when you have to split roles. I think they got a championship out of it, mind you. And James Wade was a great coach, and still is a great coach. But
I'm amazed that Paglioccia is the first just GM, and they'd always had a head coach and GM combined.
Yeah, a lot of teams, have the joint roles. Some teams have it split up. It hasn't always been the case for everybody, but I'm kind of surprised it took this long. But as long as James Wade was still in there in that position, then nothing was going to change. If it didn't change before Wade got there, it wasn't going to.
Yeah.
While he was there anyway, because well, shoot, I don't even know. Like, he'd had to have been a big part of the process of finding a GM if he was going to step down from the spot.
Yeah.
Like, here, let me help you find a person I think is right for this position, someone I think I could work with. And then now the Chicago Sky get to pick that for themselves on both fronts.
I think it could work out very well, especially with the talent that they've got still. I mean, they were playing.
They're going to be fun next year, man, especially while they're healthy and they get all those players back that they're missing. They didn't have Rebecca Gardner a whole lot. They lost Izzy for the whole season. I mean, I think it's going to be a really fun team next year.
I think so too. Yeah.
So that's the news over there with the Chicago Sky, and we'll jump since we're jumping cities. I jumped around. We've made our way over to Chicago now. Now let's slide over to Portland, but they won't let us in because expansion is on hold. And that is very recent news, BJ. That dropped out in front of us
this morning, right?
Talking about Portland's bid for a WNBA expansion franchise has been deferred after it had previously emerged as the likely candidate for the league's next team to complete the two teams being added to the league that we're trying to do here, so we don't have the weird odd number of 13.
It's one of those. I think that there was, one of the prospective owners had left after coming into some issues with the league, like about a week or so ago, if I remember reading right. And so that's I think the biggest holdup on what went wrong is that everything looked good, but when you lose one of the primary backers and the prospective owner of the expansion team, it's tough to find somebody on such short notice.
Well, I got something here in the letter obtained by ESPN on Wednesday. Engelbert to Oregon Senator Ron Wyden. Engelbert said, quote, in light of the potential renovation of the Moda Center currently anticipated to take place during consecutive summers, consideration of a WNBA franchise for Portland will be deferred for now until the timing and scope of the arena improvements are settled. Okay. So you can very much probably expect Portland to be on that next round of two teams that comes on in. So it'll be Portland and maybe a Toronto, because that's another one that's not going to be immediately available. So Next expansion, when hopefully we remember that when the time comes around to talk about the possible teams being Portland and Toronto. But for right now, it leaves kind of a question mark. But since they were in the WIMS trying to go for Portland, I feel like maybe Kathy can pick back up on that Denver progress that she had not too long ago when she was making visits out there about expansion. Maybe they can slide up to the forefront, fresh off that NBA championship, hungering for more basketball. Maybe they get it sooner rather than later, and Denver comes out from under everybody's noses, and we get 2 brand new franchises instead of resurrecting an old one already.
It's possible, Drew. I think Denver's probably got to be considered the favorite right now, but I still think that there's a possibility that they look into another target on the east, in the eastern side of things, and maybe if they're going to go with the expansion into the Bay Area for the 13th team, then they'll look at the East Coast and put a team in the Eastern Conference as the 14th. It's possible, as opposed to having to shift it.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing. I'm hoping they do it kind of that way and do it instead of having to shift people from one conference or another, like moving Minnesota out of their conference, because it's just, and that's one of the dynasties of the league too. It's just one of those weird things. Do we not care about the history as much to not try and make sure we bring back a team like the Comets and then force a Lynx team that has dominated one conference and then just boot them over to the other once you get 2 shiny new ones in here? I don't know, but does it totally matter? I don't know, because it's go to the playoffs without conferences. So the conferences are just kind of for look-see and just kind of for say that we got split conferences here and make it easier for travel purposes for some teams throughout the course of the season. But as far as how it equates to playoffs and beyond, it don't mean nothing.
Now that you've added so many games, you
there's
really
no
don't have to
Eastern
worry
Conference
about
finals or anything like that. And everything is played in a series now. It's not holding weight.
It's gonna be interesting, Drew. Maybe that's part of the reason why they're looking at, just cities as opposed to having that balance. If that's the case, then why even have the monikers of Western and Eastern conferences?
Yeah, I don't know at a certain point. I don't. Maybe they're going to keep it like that because as they expand, maybe they'll go to what the NBA is doing and have the Eastern and Western finals again. They used to have an East-West thing, but maybe once the teams expand and maybe the playoffs expand for more teams to add to it. That would probably be 2026 once the 4 teams are added over the years.
At the earliest,
2027 because we're not getting the other ones to compete until 2025. So, it's probably going to be a bit, but
Portland's on hold. We'll see. We got one for sure, but we'll see what else happens. And the fact that we got the one as long as we've been doing the show, and we thought that there was never going to be an addition as long as they were talking about it, and no progress.
Yeah, Golden State in question mark, and then possibly later down the road,
question mark.
More than likely see Portland and Toronto. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, maybe Denver.
Yeah, maybe Denver. Maybe that's that question mark team, man. I think that I don't know if Denver has a good chance to get in the second time around if they don't take advantage of this right now. While Kathy's already visiting you, the spot is now vacated. Portland's not in the mix. It's time. Fresh off the championship in the NBA.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah. Strike while the iron is hot. Well, there's our bit of WNBA there for you. Now it's time for some With It or Quit It.
Oh,
you thought I was going to end up accidentally dragging out this show way longer than we expected to today, but it didn't happen. We were efficient this time around. I didn't do great on the first part, but we rectified things this time. It also helps when I'm a freaking bag of marbles bouncing around from teams and topics, but Aces championship was almost essentially old news, but it's okay. Yeah. Anyway,
we had to mention it.
It's time to play some With It or Quit It, baby. And
let's do it.
I'm back at the reins with this bad boy, ready to ask BJ 5 good old questions. Ladies and gentlemen, BJ, you ready to rock through this?
I'm ready to rock. Let's do it, Drew.
Let's do it, man. All right, question number 1, BJ. There we go. I almost forgot about those bad boys.
That's all good.
You'd rather have stuffed crust pizza as opposed to thin crust pizza. With it or quit it?
Yeah, quit it. I mean, I like stuffed crust. I like thin crust, but I mean, most of the time it may be a little too cheesy. So I'll just go with the regular thin crust.
Okay. For some reason, I had you pegged as a stuffed crust guy. Maybe
I'm actually more hand tossed.
I'm hand tossed, and I like thin. I like thin. What the pizzas that I had? Yes, before this, I mean it's
thin crust.
Pretty much. It's not like there could be thinner crust versions of this pizza, but it's not. It's not actually hand tossed, and it's definitely not stuffed. Yeah. Anyway, stop talking about pizza, Drew. Stop talking about pizza. Number 2, Mr. BJ.
Yes, sir.
Number 2, we'll see the Dallas Wings get their first championship in WNBA history and complete the Texas Championship Infinity Stone Gauntlet of championships before the Cowboys win another one. With it or quit it?
Oh, man. Well, that's a good question because right now, as tough as it might be for the Cowboys, I think it's even tougher to unseat Vegas and New York. I'll go quit it again, but not because I want to, have faith in the Cowboys, because that's a ship that, is never going to set sail again. But I just don't know. I mean, if you gave me a window, I might feel better about saying with it. As of right now, the prospects are looking a little bit better for Dallas, the Cowboys, than the Wings.
Okay, back-to-back quitteds then.
Yeah.
You got more faith in the Cowboys than the Wings? All right, we'll clip this.
That's not saying that. You're taking words out of context now.
Yeah, I'm trying to stir up trouble.
Yes, you are. You know better than that.
All right, question number 3. Mr. BJ.
Yeah.
BJ, you like soda? That's not the question, but.
Yes.
Okay. Pib Extra. You ever had Pib before?
Yes.
Pib Extra is an underrated soda. With it or quit it?
Yeah, there was a time that I was drinking more Pib than I was Dr. Pepper. So I will say with it. I do like the taste of Dr. Pepper just a little too much better, as you can see. But for a while there, I drank. I think it was like 2 or 3 years that I was just Pib only.
That's a good one, BJ. I like that answer. Question number 3.5.
Okay.
Do you believe that Pib Extra tastes like Dr. Pepper and Barks root beer mixed together?
Without remembering what Barks tastes like offhand.
The superior root beer.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm not a big root beer connoisseur, though, is the thing. So I'm just trying to remember the taste. Maybe. I'm trying to.
I've always thought it did. I only asked that because I personally think that. That's always what I've talked about with it. Like, man, Pib is really good. It tastes like Dr. Pepper and Barks.
Yes,
to me. That's what it tastes.
Yeah,
like. Definitely has hints of Dr. Pepper. I had one.
Absolutely does have taste of Dr. Pepper in it
for sure. Delicious.
That's
delicious. Well, that ruins the all quittits. That's out the window now. All right. Well, moving on to number 4, ladies and gentlemen. 4. Gourmet popcorn. You believe that is nasty. With it or quit it?
Gourmet popcorn as in like different cheese blends, or the sweet versus salty popcorn?
Gourmet popcorn as in something you probably typically only see in the wintertime. The big bins of the different flavored popcorns. Gourmet flavor. They had like the caramel. They had some other.
It just depends on the flavor to me, Drew. If it's like a different cheese or whatnot and it's still salty, then I'm absolutely going to say quit it. But a lot of the sweeter popcorns, I'm not as big a fan of. So it really just kind of depends. If you want to narrow it down, I'll say quit it just for clarity. But I do have a point that I can agree with you on.
See if I can nail down these flavors for you.
Yeah, there's like a mix. Like there's some that are like a mix of different like cheeses or whatever. Like and they're still salty.
Some of these I haven't seen before, but apparently there's cookies and cream popcorn.
Oh yeah, no,
Kaleidoscope kettle popcorn.
I have no idea what the heck that is.
Celebration confetti popcorn.
Yeah, anything sweet, I'm not as big into. If I'm gonna eat popcorn, it needs to be salty.
I might need to look at these.
That may be one that we do.
Oh, pumpkin pie popcorn. I've definitely seen that
in
in those bins before.
Key lime pie popcorn. That's absolutely disgusting. Sounds of it. No, can't do it. I like key lime pie,
red
but I
ones in
can't do
there?
it as a
There's-
popcorn.
Like cherry popcorn.
No, like I said, if it's too sweet, it's not for me.
Whoa.
Popcorn needs to be salty.
Those are some weird flavors. I don't even want to go
Yeah.
down that rabbit hole anymore.
No.
Last but not least, BJ, question number 5. Why am I putting my hand up? Okay.
Because
Number
it's
5.
a force of habit.
And that's what we used to do. The Texas Rangers. Their celebration will be more wild than the Aces' was this year and last year combined, because we're just crazy out here. With it or quit it?
Quit it. I don't think that this group, this team, is.
What about
truly
just
wi-
the Aces is this year?
No, I don't even think that. I mean, I don't. I mean, the most that you'll see.
You
in
don't think
terms of
Scherzer's going to go out there and slam Budweiser's and mash him on his head 5 times? I think he's going to.
I mean, we saw a little bit of that last night, but that's about it. I mean, the parade is not going to be, I don't think, as wild as the Aces was. You're not going to see like a whole bunch of, like social media stuff that comes out of it. I think you'll see, I think Corey Seager will go on one of the late night talk shows, but I think it's a little bit more reserved. I don't think that it's going to be as wild as the Aces was. So I'm going to say quit it. So we got 4 out of 5.
Well, hey, it doesn't have to be the Rangers being wild. We have some pretty crazy fans out here.
We can definitely have some crazy fans. I have not gotten a bottle to pop and spray around the backyard yet, but give it time. Maybe this weekend. Maybe I'll do some bonus content on the channel on socials over the weekend.
BJ popping bottles for the
Popping
Rangers.
bottles, man.
Popping bottles. Well, BJ, that's with it or quit it.
And that is the show, Drew.
That is indeed the episode, my friend. And I've still not broken this habit. And it's right here staring me in my face to do this at the beginning of the show. But as I'm telling you now, as we outro here, to follow the Lowdown wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you follow us on social media as well. If you're watching us right now or you're watching us on playback, all the logos for what platforms we are on are above Mr. BJ right there. We got Threads, we got YouTube, we got Twitch, we got TikTok, we got Instagram, we got X, and we got Facebook. So make sure you guys follow us on all those platforms. _Lowdown. That's THA_Lowdown on all those platforms. Twitch, no underscore. Somebody stole it from us. But follow us on all those locations. We'd appreciate it very much. And rate and review, of course, over on Apple and Spotify. You can only you can only review on Apple, but you can rate on both Apple and Spotify. Go over there and hit those 5 stars for us over on Apple and Spotify. We would appreciate that so very much, so that our podcast can get out there to more listeners like you and get the word of our basketball knowledge out there. And make sure, if you guys are watching over on YouTube, you like, comment, and subscribe. Like the video, comment on it, talk about some of the things that we've been talking about here today. It doesn't matter if it's after this live recording or not. We'll still check back on the comments, and we'll get some responses possibly to you. And subscribe to our YouTube so you can keep up with all things the Lowdown and all the content we put out, videos and shorts wise. And new episode same time next week. Well, I say same time. We had a little early episode this week, live recording. So new episode again next week. We'll get to you on the time. More than likely,
Should be back to normal time.
Possibly back to normal time. So look forward to our normal schedule of the show next week. Got anything to add, BJ?
No, it's fun, Drew. We had a good time going around the association. We've done this almost 30 times now, man.
Almost 30 times. One more time, and it'll be a 30 burger for us, BJ.
30 burger.
That'll definitely do it for us here on part number 29, though, in this episode. We will catch you guys next time on another edition of the Lowdown Sports Show.